Hello everyone, welcome to Pachera Talks. My name is Aaron. I'm solutions architect with Novintech, which is one of the best organization to work with. This is my channel and today we are going to learn or understand, describe Microsoft Entra ID governance. Yes, this is the topic for today. So in order to understand Microsoft Entra ID governance, we first need to understand what is governance. So if I need to explain what is governance, it's very simple. It happens not in the organization or IT. Governance happens everywhere, including your family. It means rules, regulations which keep things organized, safe, and working properly. So these are rules and regulation how certain things must be done. Governance. And why we need governance? It's very simple, as I said, for to keep things organized, right, safe, and working efficiently. There could be n number of reasons why we need governance and the benefits of it. But for now, just for the understanding, that is what the governance is. Okay. Now the topic is Microsoft Entra ID governance. Right. This is itself is something in the Entra ID. I'll show you. But in order to understand, I just need to break it down to first governance. Now we need to break the Entra ID. Entra ID means very simple. What it means? It simply means ident of Entra ID. We know what does it mean. We've been talking about Entra ID, but here Entra ID means not ID is identity. That is what I'm trying to say. Identity. Entra ID is Azure AD, the house for the identities, IAM solution of Microsoft. So here we have understood the governance. Now let's try to understand where we need the governance for identity. That is the point I'm trying to make. So identity. Now, when someone joins your organization, that person becomes employee. Before that, the person is candidate, right? After cracking the interview, it joins and it becomes the employee of the organization. When it becomes the employee of the organization, what it does, it must have certain access. Access of what? He needs or she needs access to emails, right? Tools, right? Or shared point or files, things which are needed to perform the job as efficiently as possible. This guy who was candidate become the employee now, or you can say joiner. So the first stage of identity is join, correct? So this is the point I'm making. First stage is join, and once it will grow in the organization, the second stage will be, could be anything. Let's call it move, which means either this guy got promoted or demoted or changed the department, whatever it done, it will modify the access that this guy has, right? And finally, he has to move on, either leave or maybe retire from the same organization, right? In that case, we need to revoke his access, right? Now, during this period, if you see, during this period from joining to move to retire, the identity remains the same, digital identity which was created. But the attributes may be getting changed. For example, the job roles. The guy was maybe analyst, then senior analyst, then team leader, things like that. So accordingly, the axis was getting changed. So in the entire life cycle of identity, This guy must have some kind of privilege in between. So privileged access. So if you see holistically, there are three things happening. What are these three things? First is identity itself, second is access, and third is privileged access. Now, this Microsoft Entra ID governance, this will help us to manage the life cycle of all these three things. Life cycle of identity, which is join, move, and leave. Life cycle of access, when the candidate join, that guy gets some access to perform his job. Then if you move, he needs more access or needs to revoke the old access, and then finally revoke the accesses. And during the tenure, there must be some privileged access that needs to be taken care of or governed with the help of Microsoft Entra ID governance. Now, if you see, let me make that right. Now, if you need to define now what is Microsoft Entra ID governance, you can easily make your own definition because you understood the concept, right? So if we try to define, we'll define the governance and we'll combine the identity with it. We can define the Entra ID governance. But here we are talking about functionality or the feature of Microsoft Entra ID governance. Yes. And that feature depends on the entire things that we have talked about here. So let me quickly show you that feature. If I go to Azure portal and open Entra ID, and I come here under identity governance, this is what everything is referring to. In this identity governance, you see, we have all those things which will help us doing what? Which will help us doing all these things, taking care or govern the life cycle of identity, access, and privileged access management. Correct? Now let's see what all features we have. We have entitlement management, which will help us automate access request approvals and time-bound access to groups, applications, and roles, ensuring only the right people get access when needed. Then we have lifecycle workflows. This is like automates identity processes like joiner, mover, and leaver events to enforce consistent access changes as user transition roles. So you could understand it like how it can be automated. It's very simple. As per the attributes of job role, if this guy has an, let's suppose, analyst role, there must be some group or something which has certain permissions on certain things, so that all the analysts are part of this group who needs those access, right? Once this guy moved to a different role, maybe let's call manager, then there would be another group. This is just for the understanding, okay, with other accesses on that group. Now this guy will be joined, will taken out from this group and added into this group, so these access will be applicable. Those can be easily automated. Then we have access reviews, because these guys have what, if you remember, I have mentioned many times, privileged access. They may have privileged access during this entire life cycle of identity and access. Now, how those access would be audited or monitored? Through access reviews. How these are managed? Through privileged entity management. And we also have terms of use, which is like enforce user acknowledgement of policy document. You must have receiving on your own organization, right? Then we have activity to track and audit governance related activities like approvals, access management, and reviews. So this is what the identity governance is. This is the Entra IDs feature that you can find under Entra ID. If you click here, under manage, you have identity governance, and all these things will help us doing what? To help us doing or govern the identity. How or what? Because identity has a proper chain. It's not like one time thing. The candidate joined, digital identity created, then it moved, the identity got different role, then it leave, then we have to revoke the identity. Simultaneously the access goes and the privileged access. So what we are governing through Microsoft Entra ID governance, the life cycle of identity, access, and privileged access management. That's what we are doing. I hope this is absolutely clear now. The concept is good. From SC900 perspective, you are all settled. Well, thank you for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day. Bye bye.